Hey guys, welcome back to the American Dream Podcast. I'm here with a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Dominic C. I don't want to mispronounce your name, bro. I do get troublesome. Caminata?
Caminata. So in football, they had a cheer that they made just for me. It was Dom Caminata, nowhere. So
really?
that's how you can remember how to pronounce it.
Thanks,
Caminata.
Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for supporting what we're doing. I know it's funny the way we met, right? You'd be surprised where you meet people. Like my life changed at 2 a.m. when I met my mentor. And then we sparked up a beautiful friendship as well at a bar.
Yeah.
I'd won the storm too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, and it was funny because I was questioning that night if I should stay out because I was getting pretty tired. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to the bar and see who ends up showing their face, and that's where we ran into each other. It's just crazy, like how life throws you these opportunities, and
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey for us as well so far, being a part of this. So,
thanks for being involved.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I mean that. Okay, having said that, so Dominic, obviously, clearly, you're very successful. For anyone that doesn't know you, how would you kind of sum up your life from, your childhood to where you are now? In terms of
wow, childhood. Well, I was born in Waukesha, Wisconsin, at Waukesha Memorial Hospital, and born and raised in Wisconsin. So any Midwesterners, so I can definitely relate to the crazy weather, Wisconsin winters. But I love being born and raised in the Midwest. I actually grew up in a town called Farmington, so unincorporated farm town in the middle of nowhere. And I went to school at, it's called Johnson Creek School District. The whole town had 1,400 people. And, when you grow up in a small school system and you're literally with the same kids for 12, 13 years, you kind of become almost like brothers and sisters. But I actually had 48 kids in my entire graduating class. So very small school. As a child, huge into sports. I was a big wrestler, so if any wrestlers watching this, that's certainly a life-changing sport. For me, I think about wrestling almost daily, because in wrestling, it's all about what you do. You can't point fingers at anybody. It's full responsibility and accountability for yourself. If I get beat, there's only one person I can focus on, that's me. And of course, just the level of humility, determination, perseverance, all those things. I attribute a lot of my success in my life to the skills I learned in that sport. But also big into football, and I grew up in a family that did demolition. So my father owned a company called RJ's Westside Demolition. And literally since I could walk, I had a sledgehammer in my hand doing physical labor, using my body to make money, not my brain. And my dad, frankly, was not a big proponent of higher education. My dad was very much a hardcore, hardworking, high-tempered Italian guy that said college was for people that want to postpone reality and just go party and spend their parents' money. So that was his view in college. So I honestly had no plans of going to college at all after I graduated high school. I was going to do physical labor the rest of my life. And I actually got a job right after I graduated from high school, getting a job for a company called Zignego. It's a road construction company. They like athletes, of course, and I was a very well-known athlete in the area.
Yeah.
So that was starting out about $40,000 a year working road construction. And I'm not even kidding, sometimes life throws you these amazing blessings, or at the time it seemed like the worst thing ever. And we can all relate to that. There's things horrific that happen in our lives that all of a sudden, fast forward, it becomes one of the greatest things in your life. But right when I started, they had record rainfalls in Jefferson, Wisconsin, where I lived. And I'm talking entire towns were underwater. They had the National Guard there blocking off all these roadways. So naturally, because of all the rain, they had to shut down all the road construction crews. So I actually got laid off before I ever even started. And I was living with my mom at the time. And
how old were you?
I was, just out of high school, 18 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. And a month goes by living with my mom. No calls, still laid off. 2 months go by, still laid off. 3 months go by, no calls. And here I am, Dominic Caminata, very competitive athlete, full of a lot of potential. I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I'm literally just sitting at home living with my mom doing nothing. And it's funny, the first thing that popped in my head is, I want to wrestle again. It wasn't I want to get a higher education, it was I want to wrestle again. So I just started researching local wrestling programs near where my mother lived. And I found that UW-Whitewater, Wisconsin, had a really great wrestling program. It was only 15 minutes from my mom's house. So I literally got in my car and drove to the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, not having any plan. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Out of high school?
Right out of high school, yeah. And again, I had no plans of going to college. Again, I was going to do road construction the rest of my life. And then rain threw me a curveball. So I went to the university and went to the university center where they had all the athletic departments and offices. And I saw the directory, saw the wrestling coach's office. So I just walked in and thank God he was there. I said, I'm not sure why I'm here, but my name is Dominic Caminata, and I think I want to learn more about your wrestling program. And I don't know the first thing about how to even do this, but I'd like to talk to you more about how to get involved. And he's like, what did you say your name was? He's like, I'm like, Dominic Caminata. He's like, you made it to state a few times, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I remember you. So he literally remembered watching me wrestle at state, because I went to state multiple times. And
you're a really good wrestler.
Yeah, I made a pretty big name for myself. And wasn't the most technical wrestler, but for me, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. It was, I want to perfect just a handful of moves in every position. So I had a wicked double leg takedown that was almost unstoppable. I'd just pick them up off the ground and slam them and get near fall points every time. And then,
what weight class?
I was 160. Yeah, in high school.
That's pretty hefty.
Not 160 now. I'm like 215 right now. But. So anyway, I ended up joining the wrestling team for the next couple of weeks, just attending their practices and going out to lunch with them and just starting to build a bond with them. And sure enough, we all fell in love with one another, and they wanted to have me on the team. Well, I had nowhere near good enough grades to get into school. I mean, I like failed epically at my ACT. I got like a 14 or something. I don't even know. Well, one of the lowest scores. You could literally just answer letter C on your ACT and do better than I did on every question. But somehow, and again, this is why, life throws you these different blessings and curveballs, but the whole wrestling team came together and they wrote a letter of recommendation to the university to bypass my poor GPA and grades, and I didn't have enough credits, and let me in. It was like pulling a name from a raffle. And UW just took a chance on me, which I'm grateful for. So try to summarize this. I started wrestling, did really well, was crushing on varsity, was competing against All-Americans. But what wasn't going well was my grades. So, because I was focused so much on wrestling and not academics, that I was flunking pretty much everything. After my freshman year in college, I had like a 1.8 GPA. So I'm like, I gotta make a choice. I could either continue to try to wrestle and balance academics and probably fail and get kicked out of the school, or I can finally, for once in my life, try to focus all my energy into my academics and see what happens. And I made a promise right then and there. I'm like, okay, Dominic, if you do this, stop making excuses for why you're not doing good in school. You simply just have to pour equal blood, sweat, and tears into your academics that you did into wrestling, and then it'll pay off. So once I made that decision, I'm not even kidding. It was like, we all have these self-limiting beliefs that are programmed throughout our childhood. And I certainly had self-limiting beliefs that I sucked at, using my brain. I sucked at math. I couldn't read very well, whatever it was. But I just pushed all that aside, stopped making excuses, and just started executing, And I turned all my all my D's and F's into A's and B's. I had to retake a bunch of stuff, of course. And basically, the pivotal moment in my academic career, when I was a senior at UW-Whitewater, they have a business plan competition they do every year, where every student on campus, and that university had about 14,000 students, has the opportunity to submit a business plan for any concept or idea. And there's several stages of this competition. You have like a short essay, then there's like an elevator pitch, and then the final is like Shark Tank, where you're going up in front of real world bankers, investors, judges, and you're pitching your product from stage. And where I realized that I actually had a knack for using my brain to, if I was truly determined to win something, that competition really opened up my eyes, because I ended up winning that competition. I won $5,000 cash. I got an automatic A in 3 of my classes for winning that, because that's how important that was for the university. And I had one of my teachers come up to me afterwards saying, I'm really impressed with everything you presented. If you need 20, 30 grand to get things started, let me know. And this was a totally different type of business idea, because my life's background was in demolition. So I actually, with my dad, invented this attachment for Bobcat skid loaders for doing demolition. I'm not going to explain what it is, but that was the business idea. So like most college students, I graduated college and I had no clue what I was going to do. Sales wasn't top of mind. It was actually my mother that suggested, hey, why don't you look for a job being an estimator for a construction company? They make great money. You're not having to do the physical labor. You can use your degree. Because again, my background in construction and now my business degree, it'd be a good fit.
Yeah.
So I started researching on Google and Craigslist, you know, being an estimator for construction. And this ad pops up on Craigslist. It says a rare opportunity. So I'm like, oh, that's a good hook. I'm gonna, take a peek. What is a rare opportunity? It could be really bad or really good, So I look at it, and it's this company called Mad City Roofing, Siding, and Windows. And the first thing I see is the income potential. Now, again, when you're fresh out of college, you don't have 2 pennies rubbed together. You're broke as hell.
Yeah.
And at the time, 50 grand seems like $1 million.
Yeah.
But they were advertising you can make 200 grand. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. So I started reading more. Like, what is the job description? You don't have to door knock. You don't have to cold call. You don't have to generate your own leads. You're giving presentations, which I had proven I was a proficient at with that business plan competition. I can present the shit out of stuff if I believe in it, right? So I just called the number on the ad, and I talked to this amazing woman, Leanna, who's just a freaking ray of sunshine. As soon as you talk to her on the phone, you just fall in love with her. She's just very talented on the phone. I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. And she sets me up with an interview because she loved my attitude. And again, no background, no sales experience, no plans. I come in for this interview with Nathan Richmond, and he was the sales manager at that time, and now became the president and owner. And he took me on simply because I had a great attitude, and I was full of energy and ambition. And that was my entrance into the industry. That's how I stumbled upon the home improvement industry. And I think many people can relate to this watching this. Many people, I believe, find this industry on accident. Because they don't train this in school. They don't be like, hey, you should look for a job in home services or home improvement. So you stumble upon it on accident, and everyone has their own version of that story, how that happened to them. But once you get into this industry, you stay. Like it keeps you, right? Because this opportunity is so abundant, and it's literally, in my opinion, one of the most freedom and abundance providing industries that there is. Because you can truly make what you're worth. Now, obviously, it's up to you what that is, but whatever you're worth, there's no ceiling to what you can achieve. And that's what I realized. So thankfully at the time when I first entered the industry, I apologize if I'm rambling here.
No. You're good at storytelling, though.
Yeah. When I first entered the industry, Mad City had the Rick Grasso 10-step sales process. And for a guy like me that has no sales background, that was a godsend because I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I know how to present, but I don't know how to close and handle objections and follow a proven process. So I really took that sales process to heart immediately. I'm like, I got to master this shit. That's my only chance to make it. So I relentlessly was listening to his Yes, I Am a Closer CDs. I was reading through his training books. He had these VHS tapes. Why am I drawing a blank on what? The Buck Starts Here. That's what it was called. So just hours and hours and hours pouring through it, and my belief is growing. My confidence is growing. And I started running leads independently. I closed my first 7 sales in a row, not having a clue what the hell I was even doing, just following this paint by number system step by step. And then I'm like, holy Lord, trying to quantify, if I could sell 7 sales every week, what would that mean for me financially? I start calculating this out. What would that look like if I could do that each month? So my monthly income potential. And then what if I could maintain that momentum throughout the year? So I immediately became obsessed with the opportunity that this job provided to me. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy for me. I had to work my tail off. But I made basically my American dream started right then and there when I realized, holy cow, this could provide me a life of freedom and abundance unlike anything I've ever seen. And basically my first 6 months at Mad City, I ended up selling just shy of $1 million, which in someone's first 6 months is definitely hitting the road running. And I became Salesman of the Year. And when they recognized me as Salesman of the Year, the first year, we had an awards ceremony. And this is at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which for me at the time was still like a very high level place to go out and eat. Because, even though I was doing well, I still I didn't go out to eat at nice places too often. I was working my tail off and trying to save money. So at this awards ceremony, I get a surprise. Rick Grasso, the man, the myth, the legend, my mentor, the guy I've been watching on video and listening to for unlimited hours, like a big chunk of my life, I get to finally meet this guy in person. And for me, this was like, if you can think of anyone in your life that's inspiring to you, like whether it's a celebrity or some motivational individual that you've always wanted to meet, and then they come walking in the room, you're like, oh, it's just like, it's a really emotional moment, right? So he came in, he's wearing his Robert Graham shirts, he's wearing a solid gold Rolex watches, his fancy jewelry. He's got, the classic Rick Grosso smile. You can put a banana in there sideways. It's so big, And he's telling stories about his life, and he's sharing stories about the thousands of people that he's been able to influence and the impact he's made on the industry and how he's been able to pursue his American dream simply by sharing his wisdom with the world. So hearing his life and his story, and I was already falling in love with his process, I made a decision that night. Because there's two things that can reprogram your belief system. It's repetition of thought or an emotional event. And that was a true, really deep emotional event for me. I made up my mind that night, and this was going back in 2011, that I wanted to be Rick Grosso. I'm like, I don't want to just learn this guy's system and be the top salesperson here. I want to be him. And for me, it was undeniable. It was going to happen. Like, no one was going to stop me from taking over Rick's legacy. So I knew if that was legitimately going to happen, though, I needed to prove myself. So that gave me even more fuel, more burning desire to not only master this, but at some point I had to prove that I could use the Grosso system to grow and scale and lead and command a sales powerhouse. So before I was even a sales leader, I was taking reps under my wing, coaching them, mentoring them, inviting them to ride with me in the house. Because everyone's asking, how are you doing this, Dominic? Did you read the training book? It's right in there, no secret, They say if you want to hide the secret to the world, just put it in a book, right? Your book, some good stuff.
Available on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing is I had a lot of people asking me questions. I'm like, just come with me. And my thing is record me on your phone, record me in the house. Listen to everything I say and replicate it. Because sales success is replicatable, duplicatable, and predictable, right?
Yep.
Rick Grosso always told me, he's like, you got to understand the best salespeople are not born that way. They are made to be the best. They are trained to be the best. No, don't get me wrong. There's people that have the natural gift of gab, that can be chameleons, that have natural higher levels of confidence. But the top sales performers that truly are shining stars year after year are trained and proficient following a proven process. I found out just by doing that I had not only a great talent for training, coaching, and mentoring salespeople, but I freaking loved it. Like, I just absolutely loved giving this gift. And you're going to talk to Wendy Harmeyer at some point here. She's a client of mine. She's absolutely amazing. Her and I have the same feeling about this system. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we attended your American Dream conference, right? By the way, congratulations to you on the American Dream.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
But I really wanted to pay attention to, like, of all the speakers, like, what is the common message? And it's such a selfless message, which is so amazing to see. Like, all the people up there, these extremely successful and wealthy individuals, for all of them, one of the most important things for them is giving the gift that keeps on giving, being selfless, paying it forward. Because in life, it's almost like we're climbing the ladder of success, right? And as we're climbing the ladder, we're also reaching down and bringing others up with us. How many people can I impact along the way?
Yeah.
And this is why, for me, this truly is an American dream, because being who I am now and what I am now in the business that we do, the thousands of people that I get to positively impact. And I got stories I can share with you where I literally took someone that was homeless, I'm not even kidding, living out of their car, gave them this gift of this sales methodology, trained them, was a coach, a mentor to them, obviously put them up, motivate them. And 2 years later, you see them buy their dream house, they have their new fancy car in the garage, they got a new fiance, and they completely transform their life simply by giving this gift. So if you're a leader of a team and that doesn't get you the most extreme rush of fulfillment, then leadership's probably not for you. It's like, But anyway, so naturally, because I was already a leader without being required to, I was given that opportunity to officially on an org chart be the sales leader, and that was in 2012. So they promoted me to the sales director of Mad City, and I knew once I got my hands on the steering wheel, this was my chance. This is my chance to show the world what I can do. And again, I didn't have it all figured out. There's a lot of trial and error, a lot of failing forward, but I was prepared to take on that challenge. And basically from 2012 to 2019, that 7-year time frame, we grew that sales team from 8 million to 100 million. And not only by way of volume, but also profitability. Every single year, our profitability increased, which is not easy to do. So we say at Gross University, volumes for vanity, profits for sanity. So I had proven to myself, most importantly, but also to the world, that I could take the Grosso system and truly use it to command a team of sales warriors, sales superstars. And at the pinnacle of my sales career, I had 55 salespeople, and cumulatively, they were closing over 50%. And that's not easy, right? Typically, you have individuals on your team that are closing 50, 60%, or even 70.
Yeah.
But company-wide, the average, the median was 50%. Literally, if you're a $2 million producer, you're barely keeping your job. You're at the bottom of the list. So literally, the timing couldn't have been perfect, because I just got done achieving this monumental thing. As a matter of fact, the last year of sales leadership in 2019, we grew by 30 million that year. So, I mean, I was training my tail off, and we were just kicking ass. I felt like I could literally print money. I mean, I was pretty cocky, to be honest with you.
But you need confidence.
Yeah, I literally felt like I could take anybody. I'm talking anybody. I don't care who it is. Forget the DISC test. That's bullshit. Like, anybody with the right attitude and work ethic, and turn them into a multi-million-dollar superstar. And that's why I believe in this system wholeheartedly, because I proved that time and time again.
Numbers don't lie.
And I wanted to share a story real quick. And what gave me such passion for what you're doing is because of a personal experience I had that had such an impact on me. So I had this gentleman named Jean Duarte that applied for a sales job at Mad City, outside sales. And this guy at the time, he was working for US Cellular, selling cell phones, doing well, but making maybe 40 grand a year. Had no knowledge of home improvement. English was a second language. Don't get me wrong, he was a good communicator, but you could tell like he had to work at it. Never did in-home sales before in his life. Didn't know how to use a tape measure. Didn't know anything about anything in terms of this industry, right? But every now and then, when you meet somebody, you can tell there's something in there, that eye of the tiger that this person has, where, man, this guy could really become a killer with the right mentor, mentor. So anyway, I'm interviewing this guy, and he's asking me a bunch of questions, right? It's like he's interviewing me because he wants to see, am I a leader that's worth working for? Like, does he believe in me? And then, fast forward, he said the only reason he took the job is because he believed in me. So anyway, he goes through my sales training, and I'm doing the best I can because, I'm a firm believer, I think it was Albert Einstein that says, if you don't know something well enough where you could train a 6-year-old to understand it, you need to learn it better, basically. So I really try to break down my sales training so people can easily process it, easily understand it, and implement it.
Yeah.
But for him, he still had to learn the whole sales training in English, go back home. He translated the whole thing into Spanish on his own.
Wow.
And then he had to relearn the whole thing back again in English so it made sense to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's very unfair. I'm like, man, I wish I could just train this guy properly in Spanish, right? But I couldn't. I didn't have the means to do it.
Yeah.
But credit to him, he had that challenge, he had that obstacle, but the level of determination and perseverance that this gentleman had, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't sunshine and rainbows for him. His first month out of the gate, he only sold 25,000, and I was actually ordered to fire him. He was on the chopping block. And I told the owner of the company at the time, I'm like, just give me 2 days with him in the house and let me see what I can do.
You believed in him?
Yeah, I believed he could make it work because, the thing is for me, like, if you're struggling and you don't give a shit and you're not going to at least put in the effort, do whatever it takes, then I'll fire you. But this guy was working hard, like doing everything, asking me questions, trying to study, trying to learn. You could tell he wanted it. He wanted that American dream so bad. So I ride with him, and I told John, I'm like, you need to record every word I say in these houses, word for word on your phone. And after we're done, I had 2 leads that day. I want you to record both these on your phone, and then I want you to listen to them as many times as it takes until you can do exactly what I do. Obviously, you can say that to anybody, but they're actually going to execute and do it, right?
Yeah.
But he believed in me. So he's like, I'll do it. So he records me on these leads, and I was so freaking dialed in because I wanted to make it work for this guy, but literally verbatim to the freaking script, word for word, and these people were eating out of my hands. It was 2 of the easiest sales I've ever had. And he actually was like, did you pay them to role play with you? Like, that was, like, didn't even make sense. So he literally told me, he's like, Dominic, I went back home and I listened to your recordings hundreds of times. And fast forward his first year after, because he started in December, so he only had 1 month where he sold 25,000. Then fast forward to the following year, he sold 3 million his first year and made $360,000. Now, coming from a guy that made 40 grand selling cell phones to now making $360,000, he's one of the most profitable salespeople I've ever had, never complained, was so determined, so grateful, and similar to what I heard at your event, all the people that he was able to impact in his life, because he was from Honduras, he had a lot of family he was supporting along the way, a lot of motivation, very selfless guy, a very spiritual guy.
Awesome.
I'm just like, so for me, this is going back to 2018, at that moment, I knew that someone needed to come into this industry and offer high-level professional training in Spanish, because this is unfair.
Yeah.
You know, give them the opportunity to learn it right the first time, and that's what just admires me about, you know, certain individuals. Like, I have salespeople that clearly understand English, that can learn in English the first time and still not execute because they don't have that burning desire, they don't have that determination, that passion. You know, again, Wendy Harmeyer, she says this a lot too. It's like, you can either make money or you can make excuses, but you can't make both.
I like that.
Yeah. So
you came up with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Very, very good. But yeah. So long story short, seemingly by fate, in 2019, Rick Grasso sent an email out to the industry announcing he's having his last ever closers camp. And I knew that was my opportunity. I'm like, holy shit, his last ever closers camp. Like, I got to be there. And not only be there, I got to dominate this thing.
What year was that?
That was in 2019 in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And those of you that don't know, the closers camps are sales competitions. So you're basically joined by hundreds of other sales warriors. It's a room full of hungry, driven sales professionals that want to win and prove they're the best. In order to win, you have to, of course, be highly positive, no negatives tolerated. You have to get out of your comfort zone. So just like in sales, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you have to master this thing forwards and backwards, be able to deliver all the key scripts and know the system. Mm-hmm. And again, at that time, I knew Grasso better than Grasso, so I was confident in that. But I had to be there and make a physical presence, not only to dominate and be the last ever closers camp champion, but I knew if I was going to take over his legacy, I had to somehow get with Rick and just let him know I'm taking it over.
Yeah.
So I flew to Washington, D.C. in 2019 for his last ever closers camp. And again, there were some heavy hitters there, some returning champions, because Rick's influenced some of the most successful CEOs and presidents and business owners in the industry. I mean, there's guys there that I was competing with that were actively running $150, $200 million window companies and using the Grasso system and all this stuff. So I'm competing with all these heavy hitters, and I'm grateful that I was able to win. Mm-hmm. And then I was able to convince Rick to go out with me to dinner to celebrate. And I knew he liked French-style bistros, so we actually found downtown Washington, D.C., there's a really nice French bistro we took him to.
I like French style bistro.
Yeah, exactly. He's a wine connoisseur, so we got some wine, got him feeling good. And you know, the best close in the world is, of course, the masterful presentation, but it's also an assumptive close. So we train at Grasso University. You don't ask for the business, you assume the order. You don't ask permission, you assume it as if they already said yes. And that's something that Rick Grasso trained heavily on. So I was going to use the strategy on him.
So assume the deal is closed.
Yep, exactly. Okay. So instead of saying, Stephen, would you like to move forward and get started on your project?
Yeah.
Or instead, congratulations, welcome to Grasso University, you're going to love your new windows.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. But so I did the same thing with Rick. I said, Rick, I just want to let you know it was an honor to be a part of your last closers camp. I absolutely love to be here to represent. I want to let you know the reason I'm actually here is because I just want to let you know in person that I'm taking your legacy over. I'm taking over your legacy.
Wow.
So I didn't ask permission. I just want to let you know in person that I'm taking over your legacy.
How did he take that? You said that.
He said, I couldn't think of anybody better. And again, don't get me wrong, there's a lot that led up to that, because throughout the years I always planted that seed in his ear that, hey, if and when you're ready to move on and hand the baton, I'm first in line. So I always let him know.
You put yourself too with loyalty and you know, performance. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, that's how Grasso University was founded in 2019, and now my mission's simple when I talk about the American dream. My American dream is to share this amazing gift that was given to me with as many people as possible. My American dream is to live a life and a legacy just like Rick did, where I can influence thousands of individuals, companies, contractors to pursue their American dream and hopefully provide them with the tools and resources to make that possible. So at Gross University, we promote our services as legendary training for the modern world. And the reason why I say that is it's honoring the legendary legacy of Rick Grosso that's still got the bones and the foundational elements of his world-class training. But of course, it's at the cutting edge. It's at the front lines of data and technology, and of course, how the modern consumer is going to make a decision. So it's very important for us, and we're leveraging technology in a big way at Gross University with online training, of course, using artificial intelligence to make sure we're tailoring our training for not what's based in theory, but what's based on reality. What are the top closers in the home actually doing to be $4, $5, $6 million producers?
Yeah.
And that's what we focus on.
So let me, it's a beautiful story, by the way. I want to dig deep into something you said that I guess this is me asking primarily, but you mentioned how, you know, you can be born as a good closer, a good sales guy. You can have natural abilities, God-given abilities, whatnot. But to be that top tier, you need to understand it to a certain extent, scientifically.
Yep. So we train it this way: the system reigns supreme, right? And talking about data, as a matter of fact, and this is what I'm happy about all this AI now, because the stuff we've been preaching for a long time is now being proven with numbers. So average salespeople, when I say average, I don't mean bad. I mean like 20, 30% closer, industry average, they are about 20% compliant to a process. The top performers, the top 1% of closers, are 70% compliant to a system. And they invest the time following a proven process. So putting your God-given talents aside, data is now telling us, and this is what we've been screaming from the mountaintops for decades now, is the top shining stars in the industry are following a process, following a system. And of course, you're going to always have some level of creativity, being a chameleon in the house, customization. Every homeowner desires a personalized experience. But it's actually, because authenticity matters in sales. You don't want to come off as robotic or scripted, but it's being an authentic chameleon. And it's almost like planned improv. It's like, so if you ever watch stand-up comedians, they actually have what's called planned improv, where it looks like they're customizing their performance to the audience based on the audience interaction, but all that stuff is planned. It's all like laughter's planned, every second is planned. So that's what the top sales performers do. So of course they do have strategies and methods. We actually have this whole adapt method of being a chameleon that we train on, how to blend in with people that are assertive or analytical or collaborative. So we can tailor our presentation to the individual, but 70% compliance to a proven process is built on human psychology and human behavior and emotional intelligence. So how human beings make decisions, which we know it's emotionally driven. So instead of just going to a house, spitting facts, figures, and data, and boring people to tears trying to sell them logic, we sell an emotion. Because people buy what they want, not what they need. So we key to a lot of those emotions in our entire sales process, how it's designed.
What would you say are, I guess, I know you guys essentially said you guys have outlines and processes to perfecting sales. What would you say it's like top 3 for someone that's like, man, you know, I should do it this way, this way, this way? Like
steps of the sale?
Yeah.
It's honestly hard to pinpoint a single step, because just to summarize, you hear I'm good at summarizing here, clap my jaw. So to summarize our process, the best way to overcome any objection is to bring it up first and overcome it proactively before it becomes an objection. Okay. So handling an objection reactively is bad technique. So ideally, if I followed the system the right way, front loaded the process, we call it getting it to the green. Okay. Do you like golfing?
I do.
We should go golfing. At it. Yeah, me too.
Okay, cool.
So it'd be fun. No sweat. I don't take anything too seriously. So you front load the process, you get it to the green. So ideally, when I'm at the negotiating table trying to earn their business, I just have to tap it in, just like Happy Gilmore, tap it in. I shouldn't be trying to hack it out of the woods or chipping it out of the sand trap. And that's what a lot of salespeople do, is they do a half-assed presentation. There's no want, no need, no desire. And then they try to force something down someone's throat that they don't want or need or desire. So there should be high levels of want, need, or desire, and overcoming all the common objections that come up proactively. So if I follow the system properly, more often than not, the only objection left on the table is affordability, not price. Because the price is what it is to get what they want, right? And people buy what they want, not what they need. But we focus on affordability. which is simply fitting it into their budget, more often than not leveraging financing or comfortable budget plans, stuff like that. So like if shop around's an objection, how can I build into my master presentation where I can take them on a shopping spree, fulfill their innate desire to want to look at the alternatives, give them a world-class education on the whole industry, and have them come to their own conclusion that our product, our service or solution is the best long-term solution to their problems. They actually come to that conclusion on their own. So a lot of people skip that step. If they don't have urgency, I always joke about it, I say most of your prospects will start procrastination clubs, they just never get around to it. So they put it off. So how can I build high levels of urgency in my inspection, in my discovery phase where I'm doing an extraordinary health check and analysis of the existing windows, baths, roof, whatever I'm there to sell, and getting the homeowner committed, whether it be with us or any of our competition, they're definitely going to be getting this done sooner than later. So get them committed. They're definitely going to be getting a solution to this problem sooner than later. Getting them committed to your company, getting a really strong commitment, all these things, and of course, doing a masterful product presentation, making your product or service truly walk on water so they want it, they need it, they must have it, and that's where the close becomes the natural conclusion to a successful sales encounter. The close should just feel like the natural end conclusion. This is why the assumptive close makes all the sense, because they want it, they need it, you've killed all the alternatives, they've said numerous times, your company, your product, your service is definitely something they want. They said they're doing it now. Now it's just fitting into their budget under flexible terms. And then once you've determined it's affordable, you have every right at that point to assume the order. So you got to tee up the assumptive close. Of course, it has to make sense. But if you follow the system the right way, assuming the sale with a relaxed, assertive confidence, this is the thing that we empower salespeople with. So I was going to share some at your event, and I forgot to do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask the audience what the secret to happiness is. Secret to happiness. And I'm sure most people would agree, and I think it's fitting for your movement, is the secret to happiness is freedom.
Yeah.
What's the secret to freedom?
Money.
Well, money, but how do you get money?
Sales.
So the secret to freedom is courage. Would we have freedom without courage? Would freedom be there? Would you even be successful if you didn't have a little bit of courage? Right?
Yeah, no, that's
so
true.
secret to freedom is courage. If I want to have any sense of freedom or maintain freedom, I need courage, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's easy for someone to take it away. What's the secret to courage, though? Knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? And I'm living proof that with a little knowledge, you can have the courage to pursue a life of freedom, abundance, and happiness. And that's what we provide at Gross University, is Lord willing, if people are open-minded, we can provide you the education and knowledge that gives you the courage and confidence. And I relate to this because when I first started selling, I was timid. I was a little uncertain of myself. Again, I wasn't a natural-born salesperson. I was trained to be good. But having this system and knowing the roadmap to the sale so well gave me so much confidence and courage. It's almost like being a well-trained chess player that's always 5 or 6 moves ahead. If you're playing chess with somebody, let's say you're really good at chess, you're 6 moves ahead. If you make a move and the opponent makes a move, do you get upset? No, I'm already 5, 6 moves ahead. So it allows you to control your disruptive emotions. You don't panic. You don't start losing your mind. Because a lot of salespeople do a lot of weird things at the closing sequence. They start getting like tense and anxiety and sometimes borderline combative because they can't control their disruptive emotions when someone tells them no. But with the right education, the right knowledge, the right proven process, it gives you that courage and confidence. Again, giving you the opportunity and the gift to pursue a life of freedom, abundance, love, fun, and of course happiness. So
that's very true. So now let's talk about you. I understand, I guess, the trajectory of where you're at now, but you, Dominic, as a person, what's the ideal goal in the next 5-10 years with yourself?
So my BHAG is to honestly build the single greatest, largest, most successful sales training and business development company in the history of this industry. And this is why, for me, translating my program in multiple languages is really important to me. And obviously we just announced at your event that our training platform is fully available in English and in Spanish, but ideally I want to follow the sun around the world and provide world-class sales training and coaching worldwide in every language. So that's my ultimate dream and vision. And I don't want all the land, I just want the land next to mine. I'm just kidding. No, I have a lot of, I mean, we love traveling. I want to travel the world. Obviously, a lot of people I want to help along the way, but truly, like for me, and this is where my clients, they stay. They really love when they work with Gross University, because I genuinely, wholeheartedly care about them pursuing their own version of their American dream. And if I can provide any of the tools and resources for them to achieve that, it gives my heart so much fulfillment. Mm-hmm. I love what I do. It's funny because sometimes I joke about it, and I probably shouldn't joke about it, but when I was a sales director for Mad City, that was like being a parent. You know, it was like 24/7, 365. Again, you raised it from its infancy. You're there, come hell or high water, good, bad, or ugly. You're there in the trenches making it happen, you know, giving your children the tools they need to succeed in life. And you wouldn't trade it for the world, right? But now Gross University is like being a grandparent.
Yeah.
So it's like I get to do everything I absolutely love that gives my heart so much fulfillment, helps so many people, and then give it back when I'm done. Like, now you guys go do it. But we're there every step of the way. And, you know, my thing is under promise, over deliver every single day. So
under promise, over deliver.
Yep. So I hate it when people over promise, under deliver. That's the common theme in the world today. So we try to do the opposite. So promise, you know, what the average person would provide, and then do more. Like give people more value than what they think they're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep people loyal, keep people happy. But I get instant gratification when I do trainings, because I'll do a 2-day training for a company, and in some cases increases their sales revenue instantly by 30-40%. Like boom, instant ROI. Everyone's like, holy Lord. We actually just had salespeople going through our last Sales Academy masterclass, and they're still running leads as they're going through our training, and their closing rates while they're going through the training go from 30 to 60% while they're training, like instant results. So I love that, because you know there's some consulting programs where they're like, oh yeah, 10 months from now, then you start seeing your return on your investment. For me, it's like this, as soon as you bolt this thing onto your retail operation or your company, boom, you're starting to see it immediately return on investment. So
I have a side question. Just I've met you for a few months now, maybe like 5-6 months.
Yeah.
I've noticed you're very disciplined. I can see it. Is that something big that you're?
I've always been disciplined. I'm the youngest. I have 2 older brothers that got picked on a lot, got beat on a lot. And I don't know, there's something interesting about me. I'm really good at like observing others.
Yeah.
You know,
me too.
One thing that people say commonly is, you know, failure is required in life because you learn the best lessons from your failures. And I agree to that. However, you can also learn a lot from other people's failures.
Yeah.
So I've been very observant over my family, you know, like how people talk and communicate. I'm very good at just kind of like paying attention to how people live their lives, and just trying to be more mindful when I make choices, when I make decisions. It's interesting because I try to make calculated risks, but I'm also not afraid to throw myself into things. It's a weird dichotomy because, you know, I have no fear on making mistakes. I've made so many mistakes. I mean, I could talk to you for 3 days about all the things I've done wrong, which just ask my wife. She reminds me every day. But I do want to say publicly on this podcast while I can, you know, behind every great man is an amazing woman. And if it weren't for the support of my wife, I wouldn't be here. Just think, you know, for her, she was there when I first started at Mad City for 10 years as an outside salesperson. That's hard on a relationship. And she wasn't just there supporting me because she had to. She was literally like the one giving me therapy, like giving me courage, like you can do this, don't give up. And she's always someone I could depend on. And when I wanted to found Gross University, and I was making damn good money as a sales leader. I'm not going to disclose how much money I was making, but most people would have been like, why would you ever leave that type of income? Because everyone has different dreams, and my dream wasn't necessarily just the money. I wanted to pursue this dream for myself, taking over Gross's legacy and leaving an impact and legacy on this industry. But she supported me every step of the way, and again, I can say 100%, without having that person in your corner, whether it's a mentor or a spouse or a wife that's on board, it's really difficult for anybody to do what we do.
Yeah.
So I just want to say publicly, thank you, wife, love you. We've been together for 23 years. We're high school sweethearts too.
Yeah, I'm 26.
Actually, yeah, I had hair back then. Yeah, so you're 3 years old when I met my wife. So, but yeah, anyway, I just want to say that.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. I know we're getting a little close on time, but for any viewer, you know, listening, what's your your closing statement, your last words to the viewer.
Yeah, so the thing is you got to chase your dreams because they're not going to chase you back. I always say this in my sales trainings, you're twice as good as you think you are, and that's only half the truth. The first most important sale you have to make is selling yourself to yourself. We all have self-limiting beliefs. You got to raise the bar on what you think is possible, relentlessly pursue your dreams, and never give up. And one of the last messages I always like to preach to sales teams all over the country is we have to throw out all the excuses. We have to ignore the naysayers. There's plenty of those.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that your success in life is only going to be held back by the limits you place on your own imagination. So find that inner child, that creative person that you once were, right? Figure out what it is that you truly want. I feel like you can do what you love and call it work. And never give up, never stop. So thank you so much. Congrats to you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for supporting what we're doing. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for speaking.
Yeah, it's an honor.
I look forward to speaking at your event in November.
Absolutely.
By the way, if someone wants to look into your event, is there a website or anything like that?
Yeah, so go to www.grossuniversity.com, and we got the Agoge Summit. It's November 14th and 15th in Amelia Island, and that's going to be at the Omni Resort and Spa. So bring your wife, bring your kids. It's an amazing venue. And we're going to be bringing the brightest minds in the industry that are active in the retail operation, that are literally proving every single day how to grow and scale the most profitable companies. So if you're learning, you want to learn about lead generation, you want to learn about sales, of course, there'll be plenty of that. Production operations, technology, AI. We're going to have a lot of the heaviest hitters in the industry speaking at that event. Of course, we're going to have the one and only Steven Martinez there sharing his amazing wisdom as well. So, but yeah, I mean, Gross University is all in, and anything you need from us, let us know.
I appreciate you, really.
Thank you.
It means a lot. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one.